The year was 539 BC. An old man named Daniel stood in the palace of a conquered empire. He'd survived lions, outlasted kings, watched Babylon fall to Persia in a single night. And God had shown him something nobody else could see, a vision of the future so specific, so disturbing, that it was sealed for thousands of years. Daniel saw 4 beasts rising from the sea, empires that would dominate the world: Babylon, Persia, Greece, and then Rome, the most terrifying empire in human history. But Rome never truly died. It transformed, and from its remains, Daniel saw a small horn emerge, a man with human eyes and a persuasive voice, a leader who would rewrite God's laws, persecute believers, and deceive the entire world through promises of peace. Daniel left 7 keys to identify this figure when he appeared, 7 unmistakable signs. And right now, multiple leaders across the globe are checking boxes on Daniel's list, some in plain sight, others operating in shadows. The question isn't if the pattern exists, it's who fits it best. Why trust Daniel's visions? Because his track record is flawless. When Daniel was a teenager, Babylon's army invaded Jerusalem. They took the brightest young men captive and tried to erase who they were. Daniel refused to bend. And somehow, he didn't just survive, he became the most trusted advisor to the most powerful empire on earth. He told King Nebuchadnezzar his own dream before the king even described it. He interpreted the writing on the wall the night Babylon fell. He predicted exactly how empires would rise and collapse. And every single prediction came true. But Daniel didn't just see the past. God opened a window into the future. And what he witnessed wasn't comforting. He saw a final empire, a leader unlike any before, someone who would emerge from Rome's ruins with charisma that bends nations and words that reshape reality itself. Daniel recorded 7 specific details, 7 keys that would make this person unmistakable. And here's what should concern you. We're watching these keys turn in real time. In Brussels, in Rome, in backroom meetings most people will never hear about. Daniel's vision started with 4 beasts rising from a churning sea. The first was a lion with eagle's wings, Babylon. The second was a bear, Persia. The third was a leopard with 4 wings and 4 heads, Greece, under Alexander. But the 4th beast was different. Daniel wrote, terrifying and frightening, and very powerful. It had large iron teeth. It crushed and devoured its victims. Rome, an empire that didn't conquer. It erased. It destroyed Jerusalem, crucified Christ, dominated the known world with unmatched brutality. And here's what most miss. Rome never died. It fractured. Its laws still govern modern courts. Its language fills legal systems. Its symbols mark government buildings across the West. The European Union, NATO, the Vatican, all built on foundations Rome laid 2,000 years ago. Daniel saw 10 horns on this beast, 10 kings, 10 centers of power emerging from Rome's remains. Many scholars believe these represent a future coalition of European nations. Then he saw something that froze him. Another horn, small at first, rising among the 10. And here's the critical detail. This little horn didn't invade from outside. It emerged from within them, part of the system, an insider who understood how the machinery worked. The first key is crystal clear. This leader will be European, or he'll rise from an institution rooted in Europe's power structure. Now look around. Who controls Europe's moral authority? The Vatican, the only Roman institution still standing after 2 millennia. Who controls Europe's political framework? The European Commission, the heads of NATO. Who controls Europe's financial system? Central bankers, the European Central Bank. Names you've never heard making decisions that affect your economy daily. Daniel's first key doesn't point to one person, it points to a system. And somewhere inside that system, someone is rising. The little horn doesn't wage war. He doesn't need armies. He uses cunning. Daniel wrote, 3 of the first horns were uprooted before it. Key number 2. When this leader rises, 3 others fall. Not through violence, through strategy. The word uprooted means torn out by the roots. Removed so completely they can't grow back. This is how modern power works. You don't assassinate rivals. You outmaneuver them. A scandal breaks at the perfect moment. Financial irregularities surface. Health issues force early retirement. Political opponents suddenly unite behind a different candidate. It looks natural, coincidental even, but timing is everything. If 10 European leaders form a coalition and someone new rises among them, watch what happens to 3 specific people. They'll lose influence quietly. Reassignments, resignations, retirements announced with smiling press releases. Within months, the power structure shifts, and one voice becomes dominant. This could happen in Brussels. It could happen in Rome. It could happen in organizations you've never heard of. The World Economic Forum, the Bilderberg Group, places where real decisions get made before politicians even know what they'll be voting on. History shows us this pattern repeatedly. Stalin didn't start as a dictator. He was one voice among many. Then rivals started disappearing. Hitler was appointed chancellor legally. Then opposition voices were systematically removed. Modern power grabs don't look like military takeovers anymore. They look like bureaucratic reshuffling. Daniel's description becomes disturbingly personal. This horn had eyes like the eyes of a human being, and a mouth that spoke boastfully. Eyes and a mouth. Key number 3. This person won't look dangerous. They'll look relatable, human. The kind of leader who makes eye contact and makes you feel seen, who connects with you emotionally before they ever ask for your support. But those eyes are calculating, reading, measuring every reaction in the room. And the mouth? Daniel mentions it twice, because it's the most dangerous weapon this leader possesses. Boastful words, but not the obvious kind. This isn't a dictator ranting at rallies. This is sophisticated arrogance disguised as enlightenment, as wisdom, as evolved thinking that makes you feel backward for disagreeing. He'll be a master communicator, the kind who speaks multiple languages without translators, who addresses different cultures in their native tongue, who makes everyone feel like he understands their struggle personally. Now, think about today's global leaders. The ability to communicate across borders isn't unique anymore. It's a requirement for global influence. But here's what separates this leader. Daniel says the horn appeared greater than its companions. Not just equal, greater. The world won't just hear him. They'll elevate him above everyone else. Media will praise his wisdom. Leaders will defer to his judgment. He'll become the voice people turn to when chaos erupts. And what will he promise? Peace. That's key number 4. Daniel wrote, "He will cause deceit to prosper. When they feel secure, he will destroy many." This leader doesn't conquer through violence. He conquers through the one thing a broken world desperately wants: peace. He brokers a deal, a covenant, an agreement that makes wars pause and governments celebrate. Maybe it's a Middle East peace treaty between Israel and multiple Arab nations. Maybe it's a religious unity pact, bringing Christianity, Islam, and Judaism under one framework. Maybe it's a climate accord that forces every nation to surrender sovereignty to a global authority. Whatever it is, the world will call it miraculous, a breakthrough, the moment humanity finally grew up. Recent events fit this pattern eerily well. The Vatican has pushed for interfaith dialogue harder than ever. Leaders at the World Economic Forum talk constantly about global cooperation and shared values. The UN just proposed a Pact for the Future, requiring nations to coordinate on everything from artificial intelligence to pandemic response. Paul warned about this exact moment in Thessalonians. While people are saying peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly. The peace is a trap. Daniel watched the little horn wage war. This horn was waging war against the holy people and defeating them. Key number 5. He persecutes believers, and for a time, he wins. But this isn't ancient Rome throwing Christians to lions. Modern persecution is far more sophisticated. Daniel uses a specific word: wear out, gradual erosion, constant pressure, exhaustion. You don't martyr believers in the town square anymore. Martyrs create movements. Instead, you make them second-class citizens. You censor their speech on digital platforms. Label it misinformation, hate speech. You bar them from certain professions. We need inclusive environments. You pass laws with friendly names, anti-discrimination protections, but the fine print criminalizes religious expression, and it's already happening. Finland prosecuted a member of parliament for quoting Romans chapter 1. Canada arrested pastors for holding church services during lockdowns. UK police showed up at people's homes for social media posts about gender ideology. The persecution doesn't come from one source. It comes from the system itself. Could the Vatican lead this? Possibly. Could political leaders lead it? Absolutely. The EU already censors online speech. Could corporate power lead it? Without question. Big tech already deplatforms religious voices. Payment processors deny services to organizations with traditional beliefs. The persecution won't have one face. It'll be built into the infrastructure. And here's the sixth key. He changes times and laws. Daniel wrote, he will try to change the set times and the laws. Changing times means redefining God's sacred calendar. Christmas becomes winter holiday. Easter becomes spring festival. Religious observance gets stripped of meaning and replaced with generic spirituality. We're watching it happen in real time. Public schools remove religious holidays from calendars. Corporations rebrand Christian celebrations as seasonal festivities. But changing the law is deeper. It means declaring that what God calls sin is no longer sin, that what the Bible condemns is actually virtuous. Marriage redefined, gender redefined, life itself redefined, morality rewritten by human authority rather than divine command. And the terrifying part? The world celebrates it as progress, as evolution, as humanity finally moving beyond ancient superstitions. Who has the authority to do this? Religious leaders can reshape theology. Political leaders already do it through laws that contradict biblical teaching. Even cultural leaders, media, academia, entertainment, reshape what society accepts as true. Daniel saw someone attempting to overthrow God's moral order, to erase his appointed times, to replace divine law with human law. The system is already built. The infrastructure is operational. The pieces are in place. Daniel gave a precise timeline. The holy people will be delivered into his hands for a time, times, and half a time. 1 time, 2 times, half a time, 3.5 years, total. The book of Revelation confirms it. The beast was given authority for 42 months, 1,260 days, 3.5 years. This leader's absolute power is limited, not by human resistance, by divine decree. But when does the clock start? Daniel chapter 9 describes 70 prophetic weeks, 69 already passed, ending with Christ's crucifixion. 1 week remains, 7 years of tribulation. The final countdown begins when he confirms a covenant with many, a treaty, an agreement, a deal that makes the world exhale in relief. For the first 3.5 years, he'll keep his promises. Peace holds. The system works. Then he breaks the covenant. Midway through, he reveals his true nature, sets himself up as God, demands worship, and persecution explodes. Could this timeline start soon? Maybe. We don't know the day or hour, but if a major global covenant is signed, start counting. If Israel signs a peace deal guaranteed by a European leader, start counting. If the world celebrates a breakthrough agreement that seems too good to be true, start counting. Because Daniel wasn't guessing, he was shown the exact timeline by God himself. 7 keys. Let's tally the evidence. Key 1, European origin. Check. Multiple candidates fit. The Vatican, EU leadership, NATO command. All rooted in Rome's institutional legacy. Key 2, 3 leaders fall. Emerging. Watch for power shifts in the next 12 months. Key 3, eyes and mouth. Master Communicator. Check. We have multilingual leaders in religious and political spheres who captivate millions. Key 4, false peace. Check. Interfaith unity initiatives, climate accords, global cooperation frameworks, all active right now. Key 5, persecutes believers. Happening. Censorship expanding. Legal pressure mounting. Social marginalization becoming systematic. Key 6, changes times and laws, happening, moral redefinition in full swing, calendar secularization advancing, biblical teaching criminalized in multiple nations already. Key 7, 3.5 years, pending. The clock hasn't started. Or maybe it has, and the announcement hasn't been made yet. 6 out of 7 keys are already in motion. Some partially, some fully, but the pattern is undeniable. The question isn't whether Daniel's prophecy is real. The question isn't whether these events will happen. The question is, who completes the pattern? A pope, a president, a secretary general, a coalition leader you've never heard of, or someone operating so quietly, so strategically, that you won't know their name until it's too late to resist. And here's what I didn't tell you. There's an 8th sign, one Daniel saw in another vision, one that connects directly to Revelation's prophecy about the mark of the beast, one that's already being prepared right now.